Why UFC judges keep robbing fighters. Dominick Reyes landed more significant strikes against Jon Jones, yet somehow lost the title fight. Fans called it the biggest robbery of all time. Even Dana White thought Reyes won.
Going into the last round, I had Dominick Reyes 3-1.
But this isn't just one bad night. Fighters are losing half their paychecks and career opportunities because judges can't do their job. Just months ago, Alexander Volkov outstruck Gane for 3 straight rounds, landed the cleaner shots, and still lost the decision. Fans were literally speechless when the scorecards were read. After analyzing every controversial decision from the past few years, I found the judging system is completely broken. And it's getting worse. Let's find out why these scoring disasters keep happening and how they're literally ruining fighters' lives while the UFC does nothing to fix it. Imagine if the judges were subscribed to my channel. They would never make a mistake. So if you like the video, consider subscribing. Why is the word robbery such a common term in MMA? Is it because the judges are corrupt, incompetent, or is the whole system just broken? By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why the scoring system fails fighters and what one big change could fix everything. Here's what a lot of people don't see. Bad UFC decisions aren't random. There's actually a pattern to which fighters get good decisions and which ones get robbed. After looking at a bunch of controversial fights, I found these 3 specific things that predict with shocking accuracy which fighter will win a close fight. And no, it's not always the fighter who did better. What I found was shocking. Some judges score many of their fights differently than other judges and media, yet they still get to judge title fights. Fighters the UFC wants to push to the top often win super tight fights against less popular ones, and judges consistently undervalue certain fighting styles while overvaluing others. Today, I'm showing you everything I found. No guessing, just facts about why the judging system is completely broken, and why the UFC doesn't really want to fix it. Here's what's at stake. When judges get wrong, fighters lose half their paycheck right away. In title fights, this can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars gone. Title shots worth millions disappear overnight. Career momentum that took years to build vanishes in seconds. Look at Dominick Reyes after his controversial loss to Jon Jones. He went from undefeated title challenger to losing 3 straight fights via knockout and disappeared from the sport for a while. One bad decision changed his entire career and probably cost him millions in lifetime earnings. In a sport where the average career is just 8 to 10 fights, one bad decision is more than 10% of a fighter's entire UFC career. For many, that's the difference between being remembered as a contender or getting cut from the UFC. Unlike football or basketball players, UFC fighters don't have a union to protect them. They're independent contractors whose whole living depends on wins and losses. When judges rob them, they're literally taking food off their families' tables. Here's something most fans don't know. UFC judges aren't hired by the UFC. They're picked by the state athletic commission, like in Nevada or California, to score the fights. It's wild. Even though a third party hires them, it often feels like judges lean toward the UFC's interests, leading to robberies and weird scorecards. Or maybe the commissions just keep picking bad judges. Some fans even whisper about a conspiracy. Could the UFC secretly influence these calls to keep their champs on top? Now, let's look at 6 of the worst examples of UFC judging gone wrong, and show why the whole system is broken. The biggest robbery of all time that changed UFC history happened at UFC 247 between Jon Jones and Dominick Reyes. Going into this fight, people called Jones the greatest fighter ever. Reyes was undefeated too, and many thought he had the style to beat the champ. What happened over 5 rounds shocked everyone. Reyes came out strong in the first round, hitting Jones with several hard left hands and clearly landing more strikes. The numbers tell the story. Round 1. Reyes landed 23 big strikes to Jones's 17. Round 2, Reyes landed more strikes again, 33 to 22nd. Round 3, Reyes connected with 26 strikes compared to Jones's 19. By any fair measure, Reyes was up 3-0 heading into the championship rounds. Even UFC boss Dana White said this.
Going into the last round, I had Dominick Reyes 3-1.
Jon Jones did better in rounds 4 and 5, but even a generous score would have the fight 48-47 for Reyes. Yet somehow, Judge Joe Solis scored it 49-46 for Jones, meaning he gave Jones 4 out of 5 rounds. The other 2 judges had it 48-47 for Jones. The Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation got hundreds of complaints about the scorecard.
They gave it to Jones, unanimously. Twitter is going off, man. Everyone's calling this a robbery. Because it was a clear robbery. They showed the strikes. There was no grappling that was successful in rounds 1 to 3. And Reyes outstruck Jones every single round. Not by 1 strike, not by 2 strikes, by a minimum of 5 strikes.
But there's something bigger happening here. Championship bias. Throughout UFC history, champions get the benefit of the doubt in close rounds. It's the unwritten, you must really beat the champion rule. That's not a coincidence. It's a pattern. The aftermath for Reyes was devastating. After nearly beating the greatest fighter of all time, he lost his next 3 fights in increasingly brutal ways. But now, Reyes is on a war path, knocking out his last 3 opponents with brutal finishes. This case shows something important about UFC judging. When the UFC has spent years building up a champion, judges tend to favor that champion in their scoring. The whole system is tilted toward keeping things the same. If that showed championship bias, the next fight between a rising star and a former champ reveals an even uglier truth about UFC judging. Let's break down what actually happened. Yan got takedowns in every round, 6 total compared to O'Malley's 0. He had almost 6 minutes of control time, while O'Malley landed some flashy strikes. When judges gave O'Malley a split decision win, the MMA world was shocked. All 26 media members scored the fight for Petr Yan. By the UFC's own scoring rules, effective grappling and control should have given Yan the edge in at least 2 rounds. Even O'Malley himself seemed surprised by the decision.
I didn't know, honestly. I thought I could have went either way. I'd have to rewatch it.
But here's where star bias comes in. At the time, O'Malley was one of the UFC's fastest-growing stars, with millions of social media followers. Yan, despite being a former champion, didn't connect with English-speaking fans and wasn't as marketable as O'Malley. The aftermath? This controversial win sent O'Malley directly into a title shot against Aljamain Sterling, which he won to become champion. Meanwhile, Yan, who many believe should have been in line for another title shot, was pushed out of title contention and then had to fight Merab. Here's what's interesting. Big-name fighters usually win super close decisions against less popular opponents. It's not just luck. It's a pattern that fits the UFC's promotional strategy perfectly. Think star bias is bad? The next case might just be the most shocking robbery in recent UFC history. Paddy Pimblett came into this fight as one of the UFC's fastest rising stars.
I'm a scouser. We don't get knocked out.
A charismatic lightweight from Liverpool with a growing fan base and the full UFC promotional machine behind him. Jared Gordon was the typical UFC veteran. Tough, skilled, but without the same star power. What happened in the cage was clear to almost everyone watching. Gordon controlled the fight with better boxing, repeatedly landing clean combinations while avoiding Paddy's wild attacks. Gordon got takedowns and kept top position. By any fair measure, this was Gordon's fight. He took Paddy down 3 times. Paddy couldn't manage even 1. Plus, Gordon controlled the fight for 6.5 minutes. Yet somehow, all 3 judges gave the fight to Pimblett. This wasn't just controversial, it made no sense at all. 23 out of 24 media members scored the fight for Gordon. After the fight, Pimblett kept his perfect UFC record and continued his rise as a marketable star, while Gordon was denied the biggest win of his career. But this fight showed something worse than just bad judging. It showed how the whole system seems rigged to keep the UFC's promotional stories going. Think about this uncomfortable reality. The UFC is both a sport and entertainment company. When a decision like Pimblett-Gordon happens, it's hard not to wonder if judges feel pressure to favor the outcome that helps the UFC's business more. I'm not saying there's direct corruption, but the conflict of interest is built into the structure itself. Most troubling of all, there were no consequences for the judges who scored this fight for Pimblett. All 3 continued to judge important UFC fights, including championship bouts. That robbery crushed a veteran's dreams, but the next one might have stolen a fighter's chance at a legacy-defining moment. When Gane and Alexander Volkov met for their rematch in December 2024, we witnessed one of the most blatant scoring injustices in UFC heavyweight history. After Gane dominated their first meeting in 2021, Volkov came back with something to prove. What followed was 3 rounds of technical striking where Volkov finally showed why he's one of the most dangerous heavyweights alive, only to have judges snatch his victory away. Let's break down what actually happened. Volkov outlanded Gane in significant strikes in 2 of 3 rounds. The Russian giant controlled the center of the octagon, dictated the pace, and landed the cleaner, more impactful shots throughout the fight. Despite these facts, 2 judges somehow scored the fight for Gane, giving him a split decision victory that left fans, commentators, and even other fighters in disbelief.
They just robbed Volkov! Bro, I can't fucking believe they just robbed Volkov of a career-defining win. He won the 2nd round on damage. He outstruck Gane in the 2nd round. He landed all of the good shots on the feet, and he did not get held down at the end.
Even Dana White said this to Volkov.
I don't know what we'll do, but we'll try to make it right by him. I have no idea. The whole train of thought. I don't have no idea. They out there in the back. I'll talk to you in a little while, okay? I apologize.
Volkov's title aspirations were derailed, while Gane maintained his position near the top of the division. But beyond the rankings, this robbery does something more damaging. It shows fighters that technical striking, cage control, and landing more significant strikes mean nothing when incompetent judges completely botch the scoring. This case perfectly illustrates why many fighters say, never leave it in the hands of the judges. If you thought that heavyweight injustice was bad, the next case shows how controversial judging can turn a clear victory into a disputed decision. This middleweight fight saw former champion Strickland use his trademark pressure, boxing against the powerful Brazilian contender Costa. For 5 rounds, Strickland controlled the distance, landed more significant strikes in most rounds, and avoided most of Costa's power shots with better defense. The fight looked like a clear unanimous decision for Strickland. Instead, Judge Dave Torelli somehow scored it 49-46 for Costa, giving him 3 of the 5 rounds despite being outstruck in most of them. The other 2 judges correctly scored it for Strickland, resulting in a split decision. After the fight, UFC President Dana White didn't hold back.
Co-main event, Sean Strickland beat Paulo Costa. There was kind of a weird judges' scorecard in that they gave it to Paulo, I think.
It wasn't weird, it was nuts is what it was. It's insane. That guy should never ref a big fight again. They should kick him back down to the minor leagues and let him work on his judging. It's unbelievable. I mean, how anybody who isn't an absolute lunatic could call that fight a split decision. I don't even know what to say about that. It's insane. That guy shouldn't be judging big fights.
This fight shows how individual judges can operate with almost no accountability. Torelli has been responsible for numerous controversial decisions throughout his career, yet continues to judge important fights. In fact, this same judge was involved in another controversial decision earlier that night, raising serious questions about how judges are selected and monitored. The lack of consequences for consistently bad judging creates a system where mistakes get repeated without correction. Finally, a title fight where 1-round scoring changed everything for 2 fighters' legacies. Our final case looks at the controversial draw between champion Alexa Grasso and former champion Valentina Shevchenko. Their second fight ended in a split draw, with Judge Mike Bell scoring the 5th round 10-8 for Grasso despite no near finishes. This controversial score prevented Shevchenko from winning back her title. Grasso only landed 4 more strikes than Shevchenko. There was 1 knockdown by Grasso in round 2. Grasso only had 2 minutes and 39 seconds of control time, while Valentina had almost 9 minutes of control time. Under the UFC's rules, a 10-8 round should show dominance and impact, neither of which were there enough to justify such a score.
When I found out that one of the judges scored 10-8, I'm like, this guy should be investigated for this. This is the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. And as I started to talk to people, I guess there was there's a seminar tomorrow with the Athletic Commission on 10-8s. So hopefully they can get this cleared up, especially in title. There's so much at stake in a title fight, more than just money, show and win and pay-per-view and championships and legacies. And it's just, you have to have the best of the best.
This case perfectly shows the subjectivity of the 10-point must system, especially around what counts as a 10-8 round. Despite attempts to standardize the criteria, judges continue to apply wildly different standards to what should be a rare score. The consequences were huge. Shevchenko was denied the championship she appeared to have won back, while Grasso kept her title despite most observers thinking she lost the fight. The draw also meant their rivalry had no clear ending, forcing a potential third fight that might not have been needed. If you're as fed up as I am after seeing 6 fighters get robbed in those fights, let's dig into the real reasons UFC judging keeps failing us. And trust me, it's a bigger mess than you think. There's no process to review questionable scorecards. No one's asking, what happened here? Athletic commissions rarely address judging controversies or replace poor judges. There's no system to track how well judges perform over time, and judges never have to explain their scorecards. The way MMA judging is structured creates serious issues. Many judges come from specific fighting backgrounds, and they tend to favor techniques they know best. Here's how we can stop fighters from getting robbed. The first fix is simple. Let's be open about the scores. Show the judges scorecards after each round. Fighters will know exactly where they stand going into the next round. Judges will feel pressure to get it right when their scores are out there. If one judge's score is way off from the others, they might have to rethink their call. The way judges are chosen and trained needs a total makeover. Set up a national program with tough tests to make sure judges really know MMA. Only let the best judges handle title fights. No more giving big fights to people who mess up. Let's wrap this up with the harsh reality. It's not outright corruption, but the system leans toward the UFC's goals. They can call out bad judging in public, but behind the scenes, those decisions often help their promotional plans, like pushing a big-name fighter to the top. It's hard to ignore how often this happens in tight calls. Until fighters come together and demand change, maybe through collective bargaining, this isn't going anywhere. Commissions don't have a reason to fix things, and the UFC benefits too much from how things are. So fighters, the lesson here is tough. Don't leave it to the judges. In a system this unfair, finishing your opponent is the only sure way to win. It's clear the judging system is broken, and I'm not done digging into these UFC problems for you. If you don't want to miss out on more deep dives like this, hit that subscribe button today. You'll get the best, most insightful UFC videos every week that break down what's really going on in the octagon. While you're at it, let me know in the comments. What's the most unfair UFC decision you've ever seen? And make sure to like this video to help spread the word.